What is interfaith dialogue? Dialogue between followers of different faith traditions would be a more correct expression than interfaith dialogue, because it is individuals of faiths who engage with each other, not entire faiths. However, the term interfaith dialogue is already in widespread use to mean dialogue between followers of different faiths, and so we will use it in this sense also. Dialogue between followers of different faiths gives them the opportunity to talk to and listen to each other, getting to know and learning to understand the other. In interfaith dialogue, we try to approach our partners in a spirit of tolerance, truthfulness, sincerity, love, respect, and goodwill, without willing the other to accept our own beliefs or ideas. As we explained above in distinguishing dialogue from debate and discussion, in dialogue we are not aiming either to win an argument or to establish a consensus. We are engaging for the sake of engaging, seeking a genuine encounter with other human beings in accordance with our God-given capacities for engagement and communication. In interfaith dialogue, we look to interact with people of different faiths, gaining understanding of their faiths and other aspects of their identities, as well as improving our understanding of our own. What interfaith dialogue is not. It is important here to make clear what dialogue, and particularly interfaith dialogue, is not. Dialogue is not debate. It is not about convincing others of one's position or trying to win an argument, nor is it about compromise. In a dialogue, people are not aiming to agree on everything or to reach a consensus. Dialogue is simply about honest engagement and communication, in which we try to better understand the other, whatever the differences in our beliefs and values. Interfaith dialogue does not compromise one's own faith. Throughout the dialogue process, everyone holds to the values that they believe in, and they do not hesitate to implement all of their religious, moral, and cultural values and acts of worship in their lives. Because dialogue is not about trying to win an argument, nobody engaged in interfaith dialogue should be trying to disprove the religion of others. Similarly, because dialogue is not about establishing a consensus, nobody should be trying to merge distinct religions into one. It is crucial to dialogue that disagreement and diversity are accepted and respected. The integrity of each belief system involved should not be undermined. Participants can remain faithful to their own beliefs and values while working to understand those of others and to discover and underline the values they share. Someone who is secure in their own faiths need not fear that it will be shaken by dialogue. People do not fall away from their faith simply through honest communication with others. Their faith will only be vulnerable if they are not fully committed to their religious values and if these values do not satisfy their needs. There are very few former Muslims who have converted out of Islam as a result of dialogue with people of other religions. If people feel uncertain about their own faith and identity, this may not be the best time for them to engage in certain forms of dialogue, which may confuse their efforts to establish their beliefs and values. There would be no harm in such people engaging in sociable cultural activities, but they may want to avoid in-depth discussions of faith until they have developed a firmer hold on their own religious identity. Interfaith dialogue, as we understand, means dialogue between people of different faiths, not specifically dialogue about faiths. It is entirely possible to engage in interfaith dialogue without broaching theological issues. Interfaith dialogue might, for example, consist of discussion of a pressing social issue amongst local Muslims and Christians, or it might consist of the natural conversational exchange between Buddhists and Jews during an interfaith trip to a historic site. In interfaith dialogue, we should communicate with the other honestly and compassionately. In doing so, we express our God-given capacity for interpersonal engagement and we strive to understand one another and learn how to live together harmoniously. In the context of interfaith dialogue, we should not be attempting to demonstrate the superiority of our faith or to proselytize in any way. Interfaith dialogue is not to be confused with Islamic tabligh or Christian missionary work. We do not mean to suggest that there is anything wrong with preaching to bring others to Islam. We simply mean that interfaith dialogue is not the appropriate forum for that. Dialogue, as outlined above, has a particular meaning. Fethullah Gülen describes it as an endeavor to get to know each other and a common search for solutions to our shared problems by accepting everyone in their own position. To go into dialogue with the intention of converting others would be to serve an agenda at odds with the generally accepted purpose of the dialogue. Indeed, it would be dishonest. Some people might see this as theologically problematic. Here, it must suffice to mention the social and cultural dimensions of freedom of religion and belief. Freedom of religion involves the four elements of freedom to believe in any religion, to practice its values, to communicate them to others, and to associate and organize with one's fellow believers. Freedom of religion obtains only where and when all four elements are in place. The lack of one of those elements in any country means that there is a lack of freedom of religion there. Achieving this minimum level of freedom of religion is a must. The individuals and organizations that wish to openly promote their religion should be able to do so through the institutionalization of freedom of religion. In some countries around the world, including Britain, freedom of religion is embedded in the legal administrative system. As a result, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, and others are able to practice and teach their religious and cultural values and to organize, even though they are minorities. Entering into dialogue with people of different beliefs does not mean that we surrender or compromise our own. It does not even mean that we forego our right to proselytize in a different context. It only means that we respect that they have the right to believe in and practice their religion just as we do. Dialogue is a context in which we express our support for the same universal religious freedom that would allow us in other contexts to seek to spread our own faith without fear of persecution.